We had some business. I did not want to call everyone in to have a 5-minute adopt rules, so I think we all have enough to do without meeting just to meet. So before we get started, I'm going to ask Representative Carpenter to open in some prayer. Are you 23?
Yep, 23.
Okay.
Bow your head. Can you hear me? Am I working? Can you hear me? That's fine, I'm loud. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this time and this committee, and we just ask that you give us the wisdom to make great decisions for this state, for the people and the businesses of this state. Be with us as we go about our business today, and help us to be one together on this board. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. All right, now it's too loud. First thing I'll do is introduce, we've got several new members, which we're glad to have. So I'm going to start down here at the very end. If you tell us your name, your district, and any fun fact you want to, related or unrelated to this committee. All right, what number are you?
Oh, I need a mic.
Hit your button. Okay, 14.
Number
Go
14.
ahead. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm State Representative Doreen Carter. I represent House District 92, which is parts of DeKalb and Rockdale County. You want a fun fact? I went to college on a music scholarship because I played the bassoon.
Pretty awesome. You gonna bring it sometime? No.
I play trombone too.
Representative Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Park, I represent House District 101. That includes the cities of Lawrenceville and Sewanee and Gwinnett County. It's my second term here, so happy to have the opportunity to serve.
Thank you. And I think McLean might be the dean of this committee. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think you're probably correct today. I am Representative Dewey McLean, and I represent House District 100, which is Gwinnett County, which is Lawrenceville, Norcross, Duluth, and Lilburn. And you're correct. As I look around, I've seen all y'all come, and thank you all. Thank y'all for being here with me today.
And fun fact, Mr. McLean played for the Atlanta Falcons back a couple of years ago.
You gonna get my fun fact?
I did.
Okay.
I thought you said being dean. Now so Molly Aziz is the new policy analyst for the industry and labor, and even though she's new to the state of Georgia, she's not new to government. And I'll let her tell you about that.
Hi, my name is Molly Aziz, and I was in the Florida Senate. I worked in the Secretary's office there, so I started here in November. So welcome to me, and hello to everyone else.
Thank you, Molly. I'm Bill Werkheiser. I represent Tattnall, Evans, and Wayne, which is 3 counties about an hour inland from Savannah. I was in the printing business for 30 years, up until a couple of years ago. Mr. Carpenter.
There you go. Casey Carpenter, District 4, which is Dalton in the south end of Whitfield County. Fun fact, I actually was a state champion wrestler at 130 pounds. And I ate that guy a long time ago. So don't mess with me, Dewey.
Yeah, I was going to say, we might have a little Dewey Carpenter challenge here.
Put you in the headlock, Dewey.
Hey, Representative Jones, why don't you grab mic 26? 27 doesn't like you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Todd Jones. I represent the finest state house district in the state, District 25. That is South Forsyth County with a couple precincts in North Fulton. My fun fact before Bill Clark outed me as an attorney would have been that I'm a double Gator. And that's something that's always fun inside of a sea of, let's just say, Gator haters. But at this point, I'm not sure if Bill basically doing that to me and causing me to be now identified in some way, shape, or form as an attorney is a fun or not a good fact. Thanks.
All right. Representative Gilligan, try mic 29. Yeah, both those. Try it again. It keeps. Try that.
Representative Terry Gilligan, and it's so
Mike, Representative Hill.
Well, I'm the first county coming into Georgia on I-75 from Tennessee. So I claim we're the first line of defense to keep Tennessee out of Georgia. So I'm District 3, which represents Catoosa County. And since we're the #1 county coming into Georgia from Tennessee, we claim to be #1 as well.
And Chairman Pruitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm represent District 149, Dodge County, Telfair County, Wheeler County, part of Lawrence County, part of Jeff Davis County, and we're the #1 place in Middle Georgia. I missed all the other introductions, but I assume it had something to do with being #1. So.
It was actually a fun fact.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. And by the way, Casey was
Yeah. Representative, and I'm sorry, is it Kennard or Kennard?
It's Kennard, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Representative for District 102 up in Gwinnett County. Fun fact, in high school, I was the #1 classical piano player simultaneously to the #1 jazz piano player in the state.
Well, that's hard to top. I played basketball at South Gwinnett. My high school coach said that I had a great outside shot. Too bad it was an indoor game. So, okay. One other introduction, Donald Cronin, wave. He is our new Human Resources Director, and actually is about to take the new position of the Director of Human Resources Director for, I guess, the Senate and the House, correct? General Assembly. Okay. But his past is he has defended local governments and federal court, so he's a wealth of knowledge for this committee, so I hope you'll use him. I see somebody flashing. Oh, Representative Holly, go ahead. That's all right.
Hello, everyone. So that's my Barry White on you. I'm State Representative Holly of my House District 111, which covers large portions of Hampton, McDonough, Locust Grove, and Stockbridge, and a little piece of Jonesboro. For those of you who have been trying to fly your way up to Atlanta very quickly, you're the ones who you have been coming to a very pleasant crawl, a little cruise as you're going through Henry County to come up this way. So, I don't know, fun fact about me. I am a slam poetry poet. So here I'm going to give you a little piece right now. I am a poet and you did not know it.
Where'd he go? Well, Representative Kirby was here, and he disappeared. Okay, we'll catch him. Most of you know Representative Kirby. He's second to Dewey, probably been on here the longest, and he also serves as Vice Chairman. Barry Fleming, who is not here. Chairman Fleming is our Secretary. Couple other people. Sean Marie Story is our legislative. We happen to get the best policy and the best Ledge Council folks, and she keeps us straight on all our legal items. All right, we're ready for the agenda, and we're going to start with, we may not be in order. We're going to do, I'm sorry. Thank you. That's why we have people helping us up here. we need to adopt our rules, and there are no changes from the last several sessions. So hopefully folks have had a chance to look them over. And at this point, we would take a motion. All right, we have a motion by Pruitt and a second by Hill. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you very much. Now, we can move to our agenda, and we're going to start at the bottom with Chairman Nix, House Bill 126. And test that mic. I got you on.
Test, test.
Okay.
And I believe the commissioner's going to join me here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, I'd like to present to you House Bill 126. 126 is really one of those simple bills that we hear about a lot. One page, but let me give you just a little bit of the background. A number of years ago, I carried a bill that created the college and career pathways. And one of the components of that was that we needed to develop really a statewide soft skills training program. And for the best efforts, we never seemed to have really gotten that done and completed. There were some attempts at it, but it didn't really get going. But the Labor Commissioner and the Department of Labor went out and created their own program, which is called Georgia Best, Business Employability Skills Training. And this is a program that was created by and administered by the Georgia Department of Labor to address the lack of employability skills or soft skills or work ethic in today's workforce. If any of you have talked to employers lately, you will find that this idea of soft skills, employability skills, and they've got a great website and even a great list of the things that they really work on that I would tell you need to go and look at. Personal characteristics, attitude, initiative, flexibility, organization, discipline, integrity, interactions with others, respect, effective communication, and teamwork. And then they talk about employer expectations, attendance and punctuality, customer service, critical thinking and problem solving, technical usage and social media ethics, professionalism, and adherence to policy. That's just a little bit of background as to what Georgia Best is. And this bill simply would recognize this as a curriculum, an employability skills training curriculum that may include but shall not be limited to skills relating to punctuality, critical thinking, and the ability to work in a team. And I certainly think this is a great idea. We cannot overemphasize the need for that type of training. The Commissioner and the Department of Labor, I think, have done a great job on that. So that's what I would say about the bill. I certainly think it's great, and I think the Commissioner would like to speak to it as well.
And welcome.
Thanks for having us. Good to be back. Yeah, Georgia Best, it's like the chairman was saying earlier, it was actually kind of started years ago as a pilot program. We started with about 27 schools and worked with those schools to help the beginning and the start of coming up with a soft skills program. From that, over the last several years, we've also taken on other partners. We've taken on some folks in the business community. We have an advisory board made up of teachers from schools that do it to give us input about how the students react to it and how they work with it, and also give us ideas about things we can make it better to help be more flexible for our school system, because it is a very, very flexible program. We started a partnership several years ago with the University of North Georgia, their BB&T Center for Ethics. They have also helped us create a full-fledged program with written materials and everything, and also help us take it to the next level, because this year we were unveiling I guess you want to call it Georgia Best 2.0. Everybody's got to have that next thing or the next best thing. And this year we now have actually expanded it to not just schools, but also we have a one for at work, your current workforce. There's also a certification that's tied to that. We also have some at-home learning modules that you can do. to help individuals that may not can go to a location to take class, to see what things that they may need to get better at, to help them not only get a job, but also to keep a job. Because one thing we have found out through talking to employers, and we've actually polled a lot of this from around the state, the number one reason why someone loses their job through termination is from a soft skills issue. Matter of fact, a lot of times I'll get in front of HR directors and I will challenge them. Matter of fact, one day I was in front of 400 HR directors from across the state, and I said, give me one example where you had to terminate somebody and it was for a reason other than a soft skills issue. And nobody could come up with one. It's very hard to do. I think I've had one person actually get me on that, and it was something kind of bizarre, and I was like, okay, I'll give you, because it was very, very specific to their industry. But otherwise, I mean, it's very hard to come up with something. I mean, it's because of, tardiness or not getting along well with others, or not, teamwork issues. There's all these kind of things. And so we've developed this program. We're in about 200 locations around the state, technical colleges, high schools, middle schools. We've also had some pilot programs in some employers who have helped us develop the at-work portion of it. It's been very much a team effort, everything from educators to employers to even the students themselves. And we're hoping to further emphasize this program, get it out, because no other state is doing anything quite like this. And best of all, for the school systems, it's free, okay? And it's also, it's a very efficient program. And we're very proud of all the work that's been done. And I'm also appreciative of Representative Nix, who just also happens to be my representative, which is kind of odd because he lives 3 counties away from me. But when you live in real Georgia, that kind of happens. But to emphasizing this and having such a passion about it, because I'm also passionate about it, because when you see what keeps individuals from succeeding and getting to that next level, 9 times out of 10, it's this stuff right here.
Thank you. I know in our area, the schools speak very highly of it, and again, it's kind of odd that you even have to teach this, because most of the folks I see here in the audience are my age. Somehow we learned about showing up on time, but that's not the case anymore. So we're in a posture to entertain questions, and we'll start with Representative Kennard.
Program sounds great. What is there also an opportunity for like nonprofits who are working with indigent folks trying to get job training skills up?
Yes, we purposely made the program as flexible as possible. Anybody can use it, and it's free to anybody that wants to use it, and you can use it in any kind of manner. Matter of fact, the at-home portion, that's the new part, it was created specifically for nonprofits. So because it's easier for them to get a hold of the material and things they need. It's going to have a lot of online modules as we continue to develop more and more stuff for it. But yes, it can be used. We've had churches use it. We've had small nonprofits use it. We've had after-school programs who have taken a look at it and adopted it. So yes, it's very, very flexible. The only thing that's not flexible in it is if you're going to go through the program and become certified as a Georgia Best individual, there's standards there that have to be met. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. And those you have to do a program in conjunction, either going through a formalized class, either set up through a nonprofit, in most cases right now in a school, and also working with an employer through an internship or an actual job or job shadowing to demonstrate that you have all these skills. And once you do, then you can actually, you'll get a certificate by the Department of Labor, and also the Department of Education also recognizes it. And then you can have that on your resume too, as you are Georgia Best certified.
How long is the certification process for someone?
We've got it narrowed down to where we can do it in 90 days.
90 days. And how long does it take to go through the curriculum?
Well, it just depends on how you structure it. Obviously, in the school setting, they're going to try to push it out throughout the school year. And then the nonprofits, you can take each individual module depending on what it is you're trying to do. And you can make it as short or as long as you want to, quite frankly. I mean, it depends on how much time you want to spend with it.
Thank you.
Okay, Representative McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner, I heard you say it was free, so when I hear the word free, I really get concerned. So it's free because
we think it should be. I mean,
no, I like that. No. But I mean, the instructors are coming. Are they being compensated, or the
That's
you
an
know the
excellent
material, or?
Now, there is a cost involved in the program. Obviously, it comes out of my budget, but it's very minimal. I think, including salaries, materials, I don't think we're even hitting $250,000 a year. Okay, so it's very, very efficient. Anytime you get a program like this, and you can do it for that. We've also have gotten donations too that's helped us through the BB&T Center of Ethics. It's a nonprofit, and they've also helped us with some of the development of some of the program as we've gone forward, because there has been some costs in that, developing the curriculum. Obviously, that's not going to happen for free. So, no, the only time we would ever, have an issue to where we would charge for services as we look down in the future, we haven't done it yet, is if we had, say, a large company that wanted to institute it as part of their HR program, and they needed somebody to be there for an extended period of time, helping train the trainer, there would have to be some cost recovery, because obviously that would be, a different type of situation, but it would be exactly cost recovery. It would not be for a profit or make more money. It would be to recover the cost of the state employee that's providing their time to help with that. But otherwise, yes, the school systems, what we do is we train the trainer. We work with the school system, show them how it's supposed to work, and then, either a teacher or instructor or whoever they designate to be that individual would carry that out.
Yeah, I just want to commend you and say thank you very much, because, I coming out of workforce myself, I understand perception. You've got 6 seconds to present something, and you need to be at work on time, and, there is a presentation that you must make. So I just know that the soft skills are there, and they are needed, and hopefully now this will be coming out of something like the workforce development agencies as well. I'm just trying to figure out, because they are the ones that I think that a lot of their constituents need that more than a lot of other folks.
Well, we are going to be delivering this also out of our career centers. That's also why the at-home was created, because you can only get somebody in a career center for a limited amount of time to begin with. So we want to be able to work with individuals and go, okay, look, you need to go take a look at module, say timeliness, or the dress for success, or something like that. These are things you need to concentrate on, because we see that you've got a pattern where you keep having the same mistakes, and let's see if we can't correct those mistakes, so we don't have that happen in the future. Because a lot of these individuals are seeing for the very first time that they're doing something wrong. Like, I'll give you a quick example, and this is a question that I use to when I'm talking to a group about Georgia Best and about soft skills and how important they are. And this is always a question that just shocks the crowd every single time, and it's an extreme situation, but I'll go, how many here have ever had an individual come into your place of business to either ask for a job, turn in an application, anything to do with getting a job working for you, and they showed up basically wearing their pajamas? And okay, there we go. And so, you would be stunned. Of course, there's always somebody else like laughing, going, he's kidding, and then they look around and see the hands up in the room, and they're like, what? Are you kidding me? And in the past, a lot of times we would dismiss that person who showed up in their pajamas, but we can't, because they don't know what they don't know. And nobody's ever taken the time to sit down with them and go, you can't do that. That's not acceptable. You're hurting your chances for success. Let's show you how to do that right.
That's why I commend you all for that, because I've seen it. I've seen that firsthand. Come in flip-flops and T-shirts. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Representative Hawley.
Thank you for this great bill. I can tell you on this coming Saturday, I hit 43 years old. The opportunity to review this type of program, it's something rare when you get to see a program very similar like the one that you went through, and you being able to actually now have the responsibility to see that it succeeds. I can tell you that probably during my junior and senior year of high school, we had late Senator Zell Miller, who was then governor, had a great program called Jobs for Georgia Graduates. And for a group of us who are a large part, many of us were males, and going on to not only jobs but also to college afterwards, those soft skills really mattered. And, making sure, too, that you are presenting yourself well, that you understand what a resume is. And so I think one of my questions really is, how does Georgia Best differentiate itself from Jobs for Georgia Graduates?
I'm so glad you brought that up. And by the way, I'm going to be borrowing you in the future.
Please do, please do. It's changed my life. Of course, you know, I give a lot of that to God and Morehouse, but you know, getting there is really Jobs for Georgia Graduates is an excellent program.
I also serve on the national board for Jobs for American Graduates, which is the parent of that. And we have been struggling for funding for that program. As you know, it's effective and it works, and it's a really great avenue. Jobs for Georgia Graduates typically focuses on those ones right now that are at the highest risk. And that's where it's a little bit different. That's a little bit more intensive because there's a lot more goes to it. That are, we have some amazing people who work in Jobs for Georgia Graduates. It's a program a lot of people don't know about. It's out of the Georgia Department of Labor. And I call them, you can call them counselors or what do you want to call them. I mean, they're doing God's work. I mean, there's helping a lot of young people get through a lot of hard times in a lot of cases. Not only helping them, show them how to be successful to get through high school and then after high school, but also helping them with a lot of home problems too.
Right.
I mean, it's like intensive counseling. And so Georgia Best is more of that broader approach. After now, Georgia Best, we have folded that also into and augmented Jobs for Georgia Graduates. So it's similar in some cases, except one's more intensive and one's more of a broader approach, in more of a general way.
Well, I guess for being it's the broader approach, and I know this is. Because we all have to work with the limited funds that there may be, but especially to the fact that we're getting more graduates who are better able to not only look presentable but also to be able to kind of manage their own personal responsibility. I was wondering, could we possibly have financial literacy as a component to that? And I think that certainly maybe some of our banking institutions wouldn't mind to cooperate in maybe a public-private partnership, that would allow for that, and hopefully be able to, provide some funding where there may not be.
Well, a lot of that is included in the new curriculum right there. And as you heard me mention a while ago, one of our partners in it is funded by a bank, BB&T. So I'm not trying to shield for BB&T, but they have helped out a good bit. Now, I was going to tell you something real quick.
Sure.
You'll be happy to know that there's 5 schools in your district that participate in Georgia Best.
Perfect. Okay, we're definitely going to be talking later. Thank you.
All right, let's keep moving. Representative Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Nix, for bringing the bill. Commissioner Butler. One question I had, and it sounds great, and I'm supportive, was: is there data in terms of the if you're certified, you have a better chance of being employed for longer periods of time? Is information like that tracked? Because again, especially if Georgia's leading, it'd be great to see that as a model for other states to follow.
Well, because a lot of that's new, that the data on that end is really not there. But we do have data on the other end that shows how you have a greater chance of being unsuccessful without the soft skills. We have that data; it's in hand. But as far as for tied directly to Georgia Best, not yet, because the certification process as it is now is just now starting. So we had a certificate program that you could get before, and a lot of it was about participation. But this one's going to be a little bit different. But I can promise you that if they go through this here and they get certified the way we have it set up, they're not going to need to show you that certificate for you to know they have good soft skills, because you'll know it when they walk in the door.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that Gilligan or Hill on mic 28? All right. Go to 29.
Thank you very much for bringing this and for communicating with me yesterday. So one of the things I didn't talk about in my fun fact was that I was an adjunct instructor at Lanier Tech. So I was wondering if this will also be a program that will be rolled into our technical college system.
Yes, several do currently use it right now. Yes.
Okay. Representative Kirby.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just real quick, Chairman Nixon, Commissioner Butler, 20 plus years as an HR manager in Georgia, I can assure you, I've been sitting up here, I cannot think of anybody terminated for a reason other than a soft skill. It has kind of been one of the biggest surprises as you get into that realm that, the soft skills just aren't taught anymore. And I think it's a great program, and appreciate you bringing this to us.
Okay. Chairman Pruitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quick comment or question, and the commissioner knows that this is something that's been on my mind for several years. But is there any place and time that you can ever see this program being used for those that are unemployed and
Yes.
require them to actually do this?
Well, you can, there are
Drawing
some-
unemployment, not unemployment, drawing
Right,
unemployment.
Yeah, well, there are some different requirements that you can use with individuals for them to go through certain types of training. If you see a deficit, yes, I mean you can use that. I mean we have that right now with different things. But Georgia Best is going to get more and more incorporated in our career centers with those that are unemployed, especially when we can identify that there is an issue that keeps popping up over and over again with an individual. Like if you know that the individual has been terminated, 3 times over the last year and a half, and it's been for X. I mean, you know that there's an issue, and then you can go, okay, look, we need to talk, and here's Georgia Best program. We want to help you with this, and here's some things that we want to work with you on. So yes.
Well, I do believe in the unemployment funds and people receiving it when they become unemployed. But I do believe that if there's an issue, then that issue needs to be addressed for them to continue to do that. And, Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to make a motion, please.
Go ahead.
A motion to do pass of.
Motion and second by Vice Chair Kirby. All those in favor, is there any questions, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carries. You're on the rules.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Commissioner, stay right there. And Vice Chair Kirby, come on up.
I need to go grab another folder.
All right. Okay. All right. We'll call Mr. Chairman Burkheiser to introduce us to House Bill 123.
Okay, and I believe it's the original LC 363751. This is a simple change, but it does move the
He took it.
the Workforce Development Board, which used to be with the Department of Labor, and over the past administrations, it's been moved from different entities trying to find a home. Lastly, at the Technical College of Georgia, would like to see it back with the Department of Labor. I discussed it with the governor's office. They're in agreement with this, and that is the essence of the bill.
All right, guys. Are there any questions? Yes, we have one. 14, down 14. Representative Carter, thank you.
Hello, and thank you, Chairman. A simple question, and I understand they're wanting it to go back, but was there some rationale or thought behind it? Was in labor, went to technical college, now back to labor. What was the thought behind it?
I'll let you answer.
I think there was a time, it used to be called WIA, and back then they thought that they might experiment a little bit, but since then the legislation that authorized it has changed, and there's been a push for more integration, or back to basically from the federal level down, started back in the Obama administration. Matter of fact, our Senator Johnny Isaacson staff was very instrumental in the reauthorization, and now it's called WIOA. Instead of WIA, had to add one more letter, I guess, when you redo it. They add the word opportunity in there, which I thought was quite fitting. And the program, if you just even look in the writing of the legislation that authorizes it, it emphasizes more integration, more partnerships, pulling things together, more of that one-door philosophy, the one-stop centers, and it's called a one-stop center for a reason, one stop. You shouldn't have to go into separate buildings to get the help you need. And we already have portions of WIOA with us right now. And we're kind of like it's a three-legged stool, and we've got 2 legs. We need that third leg back to make it work at its most efficient. When somebody comes in, they get unemployment, if they've been laid off, a lot of times then we use another part of WIOA, Title III, which is Wagner-Pfizer. A lot of people you can turn right back around and re-employ them fairly quickly. There are those that do have, barriers to reemployment. Maybe they were in an industry that is going away, For example, we had one industry down in southwest Georgia where there was a mass layoff, about 200 individuals, and there was no other company within 50 miles that did anything like what they did. And so their prospects for reemployment were slim. And so as we work with those individuals, we can identify training and find training partners. And that's the other part of WIOA, to get them in there to get that additional training. Sometimes it's long-term training, sometimes it's short-term training. It also has other parts of this that have to do with, we were talking about jobs for Georgia graduates a while ago, stuff for youth in certain categories and stuff that we're already doing. All of that, basically what we're trying to do is stop the duplication of service. Right now, we've got basically 2 people or 2 agencies doing about the same thing, and we're stepping on each other's feet. And a lot of times that can cause a lot of confusion. When you walk in, like you have one person from technical colleges come in, and then you have Department of Labor come in and go, weren't you guys just here? And so streamline it back pretty much like 48 other states currently are. We used to be considered the model program and kind of got away from that. And all the other states in America turned around and copied us, how we used to be. And so now we're trying to get back to where we were. Matter of fact, I was just speaking to my predecessor about this, Bill, just this week, Michael Thurman, and he goes, I'm glad you're doing that. It needs to go back there. He says, matter of fact, if you need my help, I'll come down there and help you. So we've always had a very good relationship.
All right, Representative McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In fact, I agree wholeheartedly. I guess the only question that I do have is, so is is everything moving back? When I say everything, I'm talking about the bodies, the field, So it's not a financial cost to anyone. Then it's
well, I mean, there'll probably be some moving costs. I mean, at the proper time, but we're probably not going to do a whole lot of physical moving right off the bat. So, because you know how things work today, things can be done remotely, and that kind of stuff. And most of the services are provided out in a career center or in a one-stop center around the state. So most of it's going to be internal processes. So yes, I mean, there will be, no doubt there'll be some cost involved like there is any time you do some shifting around, some IT costs, things like that, but it'll be minor in scope.
Thank you.
All right. Representative Kennard.
I have some familiarity with the WIOA program. The homeless organization I work with, we utilize these retooling opportunities. So right now, most of these opportunities that we take advantage of involve the technical college. Mm-hmm. We go to an office that's in a standalone building, a WIOA office, and then they give them all the services and then point them in the direction of the college. And the college also has a WIOA, in this case, Gwinnett Technical College has a WIOA office. How does this reassignment look?
Well, it's not really going to change the way that it's not going to change you being able to get those services right there. The administrative part will be put with us, which will actually streamline and save money because you have one administration handling all the functions. Because right now, currently, like when we have to do reports for everything that's done, they generate stuff, we generate stuff, and then we've got to come together, and then we've got to figure out how to get it all put back together to send it all up into one report. That and plus you've got duplication of administrators doing some of the same type of work. A lot of that is not going to change, if anything at all. Matter of fact, you're going to start seeing a lot more streamlining, and because right now we're required in a lot of cases to have presence all in the same office. Okay, we do have some situations where we've had some difficulty in that matter, and so that needs to be fixed because, like for example, we have a couple of cities where you go into our office and we handle it up to a certain point, and then we have to send you 3 miles down the road to get the other services. That shouldn't be that way, and it's not supposed to be that way. And so we're going to look to fix that. But as far as what you're talking about, you're still going to see all those partnerships and all those placements. We actually have Department of Labor offices and representatives who are in some technical colleges, and we're going to do more of that actually going forward. Because as we have to streamline ourselves, because we're dealing with a lot less money in Department of Labor than we had 7 years ago, we're looking at more satellite locations to help individuals instead of full-fledged big offices for some of our services. And sometimes we can go to a more rural area, have somebody be there a couple of days a week, and it's something that they wouldn't normally have. And our best partner in that has always been the technical colleges of Georgia, every single time. They've always been very good to us about lending us space, lending us office space, and nothing's going to affect that relationship. It's a very close relationship. I'm probably one of the biggest champions of the technical college system of Georgia.
So the delivery of services will actually be improved?
Right.
Okay.
All right, you don't have any more questions. What's the will of the committee? We've got a motion, we've got a second, do pass. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
You're on the rules, Mr. Chairman. Guess you want to swap places now, huh?
We do only have the room until 4, so I would remind our committee in this way, since there's no lights lit up, that's not directed at anybody, but let's try to limit them to questions and less commentary, okay? Just so we can get our stuff done. All right, we have Representative Kirby, who is Bill 110, LC 391979.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 110, and we're going to talk about some slight modifications as we go on this that we're working with Ledge Council on. It's real simple. It's just about getting our people paid and paid right, and get them paid efficiently and quickly, and what makes sense for companies today. The one thing corporations don't do anymore is write checks. We just don't write checks in corporate America. And then plus the mail service where we can put electronic deposit, we give them a money card at no cost, we can get them cash off that card if they prefer that. And if a company still wants to write a check, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. But what most people think is, as I researched this, everybody said, well, my company only does direct deposit. That's only, well, actually you had more options. If you really push the issue. But what this would do is say, let the company decide, here's how we pay our people to do it quickly, efficiently. And what we want to do is on the bill that you have on line 15, after the word shall, is where you'd insert the new wording that we put on line 17, upon the discretion of such person, firm, or corporation. That way the company is saying, this is how we pay. We can take care of you immediately on these 3. If we do checks, this is how we do it. The other part of that then, was pointed out to me then, sections right following this, it was the language about opting out of, and insisting, and that would just be removed, where the ability to opt out of receiving such payment by this, then do it this way, and it has to be in writing. So since we wouldn't be opting out, then that would be eliminated. And that's all the bill does.
Okay. I think this is the 3rd time this committee has addressed this code section in the last couple of years. I wish we'd just say, employers, do what you want. All right. We have we have a question, Carter.
Before I can get to my question, can you take me back? You said go to
line 15. Okay, after the word shall, you would insert the language on 17 that's underlined. So, shall, upon the discretion of such person, firm, or corporation, make wages and salaries payable to such employees by the 4 ways that we pay people in this state.
Okay, so basically, where you have shall, you want number 2 moved there.
Well, it's just not the by, number 2 is by check. It's just the wording that's actually underlined.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at.
By check, by the 2 stays.
Okay, you just want to move this part up
the number
here.
2 would stay, and by check would stay. Just the underlying part would move behind shall.
All right, Representative Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Kirby, I did a little bit of research in terms of, or at least looked up how the Department of Labor interprets Code Section 3472, and it seems this statute not only requires employers to pay their employees, but also within certain periods of time. Would moving this provision that really increases an enormous amount of discretion to employers as to how they employ their employees or when they pay their employees, to after shall on line 15, would that not then open this entire statute?
No. No, matter of fact, what it's going to do is going to make it more efficient in paying employees. See, because the problem you've got by check, the corporation I work for, those checks come out of a little town in southwest Missouri. And if you live close enough to Atlanta, say like Lithonia area, that check was cut and mailed to where it probably gets to you on Friday on payday. Now, since it's already postmarked, it's met all the requirements. But people on the other side of Monroe, out towards Gratis area of Walton County, a lot of times that check doesn't get to their house till 2 o'clock or until Tuesday. Of the next week. So what, we prefer, the preferred method is instantaneous, safe, secured electronic deposits, or we give them a money card that's absolutely no cost. They can go to the bank on payday, get full cash for it, or they can use that money card any way they see fit. Right now, the checks, as long as they're postmarked, they're fine. If they're lost in the mail, then you got a 15-day waiting period before it can be replaced and all those other rules. So actually, it's going to help the employees to make sure that they are safely, securely, accurately being paid on payday, or, a smaller company that wants to continue to write checks. We're not taking that away from anybody. If that's a small business, a startup, writes checks and pays people because they see them every day. It's, 3 people in a room and hand them the check on Friday. That's great. It works great for them. It doesn't work great for the bigger corporations today.
If you don't mind, a follow-up question. So, based on my understanding of the statute as it is, it seems to permit that flexibility for both the employer and the employee to choose the method in which they are paid, whether it's via cash, check, or electronic
The way
deposit.
the statute's been interpreted, I can't speak today. At times, that if the employee insists on being paid by check, right now, the corporation, again, I work for has 3 live checks going to the 5 different entities of a total of maybe 1,000 employees in the state of Georgia. And 3 of them, I got to have that check, and some of them don't get them till Tuesday or Wednesday of the following week. So this would get a secured, safe, and cost-effective way to pay them.
So would this not, so if under current law, the way the employee has discretion as to the way in which they are paid, with this statute, with this change,
the employer would have the discretion.
The employer
yes. would have to agree to how if you wanted it other than their normal pay thing, the employer would have to agree to do something out of what they're normally doing. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Representative Kirby.
Okay, Chairman Pruitt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a point of clarification, and I do understand exactly why what you're getting at here, but there are employees, or they're not, that do not have checking accounts. And so you have covered that the employer cannot force them to have a checking account, but they can use a card. Is that my understanding?
Yes, sir. I've actually got some employees in Walton County, Monroe being a fairly small area. They're actually on the never list with the banks that nobody will give them a checking account anymore because they can't manage it. We give them a money network card, is what it's called. It's at no cost to them at all. And that card is loaded on payday just like a direct deposit. On Friday, if they want the full cash value, they can walk into any bank in Walton County during banking hours and get their full cash amount right off that card. Or they can continue to use it like you would a preloaded Visa or MasterCard.
So it'll be no different than them taking a check to the bank and getting it cashed. They
Absolutely.
just take the card. But the employer has to provide that.
Absolutely.
They cannot say, nope, we're only going to do direct deposit.
Nope.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Carter.
Thank you. Okay, I've listened to you, and I just want to be clear. With the scenario that you just gave us, with your company, you could have an employee that lives in Lithonia.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, and they want a check, they'll get their check. But if you have that employee that live in Monroe, their check may come 2 days later.
Yes, it's just the normal delay of the post office.
I guess where I'm not really understanding, the check that the employee is receiving is because they're requesting a check?
Yes.
And this change in this legislation removes the option for them to request a check if the employer decides they're not going to do checks.
They have the option to request it, but the employer has to agree that they're going to do that.
So words are very important, especially where we are. this change, and I want to go real slow so I can make sure that I understand it. Currently, that employee that lives in Lithonia has the option to request a check. But this change in the law, that employee can only get a check that he wants if the employer approves for him to have a check.
Agrees. Yeah,
So
if the employer agrees to that option.
Okay, so with the change, if this employee that lives in Lithonia no longer has the option to receive a check, and using your words, he's banned by the bank, his only option is a card. Or a card, because he's banned from the bank.
Which does exactly the same thing as the check. It's just a piece of plastic he carries in there and they scan and it's done a safe, secure deposit versus something he has to sign.
So let me see if you remember, I think year before last, we had a piece of legislation that members of the Georgia General Assembly voted to allow insurance proceeds to be put on a card. A gift card was an option. It passed both houses, and the governor vetoed it. And I think he had some rationale behind it, and I just happened to be one of the two legislators that voted no. So, but I want to be clear where we are right here is the employee who's working for this employer, we're asking to remove the employee from having the option of receiving a check.
Not necessarily.
Yes, because what you're saying is at not what you're saying right here. It says it's at the discretion of such person, firm, or corporation. So the decision on whether or not the employee in Lithonia can get a check will be determined by the employer, even though this employee, for the employee that lives in Lithonia, preference is a check, and we're removing that option because we're concerned about him or her being able to get their money, right?
I would disagree that when you say we're removing the option, because I can't speak for every corporation and company in America and a whole lot of them would probably agree to do it. I'm just saying some of them would choose not to. So it's still the option to request it, but the employer would have the final say that we can't do that. It doesn't make sense. It's it doesn't fit our norm.
And that's what I'm saying. So this word discretion says that if that employer believes that this is not better for this employee that lives in Lithonia to have a check, he doesn't have that option. And I think that's where I guess I don't understand it, because your argument is that I heard you, unless you have a different one, that as long as the check is postmarked, but it may take a couple of days because of the post office. But if that employee doesn't have an issue with that, I don't see why we would change the law to take that flexibility away from the employee.
It's safer. It's more secure. It's direct, immediate transfer of funds. It can't be lost in the mail. It can't be stolen out of a mailbox. There's a whole lot of reasons why everything is going electronic, because it just works better in 2019.
So I don't disagree with you. But
hold on a second. We're going to keep moving because we've got 4 more questions. No, we're going to Holly, number 19. You can light up again if you want, but we've got to get through this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll promise to make it brief.
Now, February 16th birthday, Sharon here.
Oh,
so
good stuff.
Behave, yeah.
Oh, cool.
I'm not 40-something, though, I don't think.
Oh, that's all right. It's Aquarian season. We're good. Just a small question. I know that, and I at least I know for myself, the bank card works. I'm kind of worrying about other people who may still get checks, or still actually get the bank cards themselves. I know that oftentimes that there are certain. Are you aware maybe that there's certain fees that are associated with them to be able to go and use the bank card?
The Money Network card that we use at work has a possibility of a $5 fee if you deposit less than $400 a month on that card. Any employee working a full-time job, not going to have to worry about that. There's no fees to use it, no fees for an ATM withdrawal, no fees or anything like that. And again, that's why when, cash option, they take that. If somebody wants to be paid by cash, we give them that exact same card, and it's cards at no cost too, where they can go on payday and get their full cash amount.
Okay.
And there's no charge at all on the network card we use.
Okay.
Okay, Chairman Pruitt.
Obviously, down in South Georgia, we have local community banks. Are they already approved to accept these cards?
They're all Visa or MasterCards, so they work on the same type of network as those systems do.
And there's plenty of competition in this business of the cards. It's not like specifically.
You could
one
even
company.
get these a card, and I don't know the details of any of if they're in cost on this one at Walmart.
So in
Walmart
reality,
sells
it's
a
kind of
network
like on payday, you get cash, or you can wait for a check to come whenever it comes through the system, and it's a matter of which one the employee would prefer. Employer would prefer because of the cost of doing business and things like that. But employees themselves, obviously, I don't know why they would object to having cash in their hand. I have one question, though, about the trail of their hours and their deductions and things like that usually come on a check stub.
The check stubs are then also always online, where there's you're required to have some type of, whether it's a portal there at your place of work or a network. We're a big enough corporation where I work that they can do it from their home computer with their employee number and print out their check stub every week. Also, they can always stop by the HR office, and me or my admin will happy to print one out for them as well. And so those are always available.
All right, we're going to have to give the room up, so those are lit up. We're probably not going to move this bill out today. We'll move it to next week. With that being said, is anybody dying to, well, we're just going to cut it off because we're going to not move this bill today, and we're adjourned. Thank you.